All right, Nick. Headed to the top of the ninth. Shame on us for not getting synced up, but I'm sure we're relatively close. I'm looking at the beautiful moon right now. I don't know what you're looking at. Where I'm at.
Okay. All right.
Now I got Diaz walking around the mound. They just flashed his graphic up.
I got him getting the ball right now.
Catches the ball now. Walking up to the mound.
We're pretty close, I think.
If I get a pitch clock, I'll let you know. I ain't got nothing yet.
Pitch.
Oh, I got a problem. Pitch, strike.
We're pretty close. As long as Alexis doesn't make this interesting.
Let's hope not.
All right.
Somebody catch that. I mean, is someone gonna? What's Stu doing? I mean, I'm not.
They're all just expected Ellie. They're all expected Ellie to catch it.
Something was going on there. I mean, we caught it. Kudos to the steer, thankfully. But man, I don't think I've ever seen anybody not want a ball more than those three guys. All right, come on, boys. We need it. We need it.
The glasses are even on for a 3-run lead.
Dude, the glasses are on if Diaz is in the game. I don't know what don't you get about these glasses. If Diaz is in the game, they're going on, and I'll tell you why. Because it's been so nice with them so far that I can't not possibly put them on. That's a part of the deal. Cut it off. Throw it in. Nice. I like that. That keeps a double play in order for those that are keeping track at home. We like that. That guy's had a night. 4 for 4. Oh, gosh. Not this guy. Hit a double play. You can do it. I know you can do it. Double play. Double play. Come on, Nick. Come on, Nick. Come on, Nick. Come on. Please tell me everybody was at. All right. It's an out for sure, right, Nick? No replays?
I don't think so.
No replays? Espinal was on the bag? Oh, man. I tell you what, Espinal, he's just winning in spite of me, and I love it. I mean, I can't ever. This is like telling your kid that he's not good at something, and they get pissed off and they work as hard as they can for a year, and they come back and they just he's on the bag. He's on the bag.
Look at that
Let's
turn.
Go. Woo!
Look at that turn.
Fire me up. Way to hit a ball hard, Nick. Way to hit a ball hard, Nick. I'm not talking about you either, by the way. I'm not talking about you. Hit one harder next time, Castellanos. I'll tell you what, we got a show to do, Nick. I wasn't ready for it to be that quick, but here we are. I'm sorting all around, and you know what you get? You know what you get? You know what you get? You're going to get the full intro. The full intro. It's time to do a show, Nick.
Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Boston. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded. The outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on. Long drive. Right field. And this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And
De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Red win! Line to the right field. Junior, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line, doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
I don't know if we realize how big of a win this really is. Now I get it. Everyone's gonna tell me, "Oh, it's one of 162. It's just it's just one more win." We're fighting for our lives right now, Nick. We're just trying to survive and advance to the next day. And this team has found a way to win a couple of games of late that, quite honestly, I didn't expect them to win. I don't want to say I didn't expect them to win tonight per se, but I knew what was coming tomorrow. And obviously that's the end of the show, so we won't get into that yet. But this was massive. This is the most fun win they've had all year for me personally. Seriously, and that's not hyperbole. I am fired up right now. I'm very thankful to be a Reds fan on a night like tonight. And you know what, Nick? I hope you're feeling just like me, because that was fun. That game was fun.
Yeah, Reds won the season series against the Philadelphia Phillies.
What's that mean, Nick?
That means they have the tiebreaker, baby. They have the tiebreaker. They have the tiebreaker. You don't get many tiebreakers won in April, but we got one, baby. We got one.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, look, you never know. You never know if that's going to be important or not. It could. Probably won't, but hey, it's nice to have that in your back pocket. But it's nice because what was the narrative, Trace? You lose a series to the Brewers. You get swept by the Mariners. Well, you swept the White Sox. You swept the Angels. You swept the bad teams. They just won a season series against a team with a $200 million payroll, a team that's expected to compete for a World Series. This is a good team. They just went and they won the season series against.
They did. And listen, I'm well aware. I will at least admit that Bryce Harper is not around right now, and that is great. That was great timing by him, by the way. I know that you're obviously expecting relatively soon. Maybe not you per se, but your wife. And here's the thing. I'm very thankful that Bryce Harper is not around. Having said that, I don't feel bad about it one iota. There's a lot to talk about. I won't even go through the list of names. I do know that San Diego is spelled in all caps right now, and rightfully so. We'll get into that. I'm sure people want to hear me talk about Santiago Espinal, Will Benson, Nick Lodolo, and some very, very important things to talk about on the back half of the rundown that we'll get to in just a minute. But before we get to all that, we'll do what we usually do. We'll stay on track, and we will go through the box score recap. Nick, if you may, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it justice, quite honestly, but if you may, give us that box score recap. And basically, to be honest, a huge sixth inning. A huge sixth inning.
Not to throw a wrench, but do we want to? There's a lot of super chats.
Yeah,
already.
Yes, I do want to do the super chats.
Behind.
No, I do want to do the super chats. I do. Shane Combs, welcome to Nutcutter Nation. You've never made a better decision. You never made a better decision. Shane, I don't know if you're married, if you got wife, if you have kids. Now, maybe your wife, maybe your kids will think differently, but for me personally, you've never made a better decision. So welcome. Big Z in all caps. All caps. I thought Roger was the only guy that spilled something on his cap key to where he couldn't get it off the caps. Turns out Big Z has the same deal. Reds bullpen dragging their nuts across the field lately. Now, this is a kid show, Big Z, but you paid money for me to say it, so I'll say it again. Reds bullpen dragging their nuts all over the place lately, and he's not wrong. Willie B is back. Ellie's the MVP. Love you guys. Didn't really spell guys right, but that's because Big Z was so damn excited he couldn't contain himself. Mark Fetters follows it up with huge win. Couldn't agree more, Mark. You know what they say about those that are very, very wise. They get to their point precisely, and you did it. Big Red Machine, everybody knows how much I love them. Ellie is broken Philly. Oh, and Stevenson. Smash. Stevenson, I tell you what, I am fired up about Tyler Stevenson. I seriously am. And you know who's actually broken Philly? It might be Castellanos. I mean, Evan Maurer broke him. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. Listen, Evan, he didn't pay me any money to say this. He went all in on those guys. He went all in on those guys. They were in the middle of trying to get to the World Series, and Evan just went full ham on them, and it was all over Castellanos. And by God, he's never been more right about anything in his life. Elijah Bard, he says, thank you for explaining what a tiebreaker is earlier today. I got that dub, baby. Tell Steer to get better sunglasses. Go Reds. Elijah, I'm happy to explain tiebreakers when everybody ever needs them. Now, I know that Reed was trying to get a got you moment, but he didn't get me because my brain was bigger than his in that moment, and I just kind of shoot him off like, tiebreakers they only work when people are tied. That's kind of the point of a tiebreaker, is that if you're tied, it breaks the tie. Hence tiebreaker. But Cubs fans, they can't get that through their brain. Anyways, let's get into the show. Box score recap presented by DSC. How about that?
All right, let's get into it. The Phillies, they got a run in the first and the third off Nick Lodolo. They took a 2-0 early lead. But in the bottom of the third, Will Benson hit his third home run of the season, cut it to a 2-1 deficit. Nick Lodolo grinded through a start without really his best command, but he was able to get into the sixth inning. He left two runners on base. One of them would score off Lucas Sims. 3-1 Phillies. Lodolo's final line, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. The Phillies pulled starting pitcher Spencer Turnbull after 5 innings pitched, just 89 pitches. He'd been pretty dominant, struck out 8 Reds, had only given up the 1 run. And they brought in Sir Anthony Dominguez, and thankfully they did because his command was all over the place. It was so bad that Christian Encarnacion Strand led off with a walk. Nick Martini popped up after a long at-bat. Then Tyler Stevenson smoked a ground rule double. CES would have scored, but obviously with the ground rule double, you don't get that luxury. And then there was a really ugly spot in the game. Jamer Candelario, he had a really ugly at-bat. We'll talk about that a little bit more to strike out for out number 2. But Santiago Espinal, he picked him up with a single to right field, tied the game up at 3. Stuart Fairchild then walked, and then Will Benson singled to put the Reds up 4-3. Then Ellie De La Cruz, he hit a ground rule double, 5-3 Reds. Emilio Pagan, he was really the only Reds reliever that struggled. He gave up 3 hits and a run. He left Fernando Cruz in another jam. Fernando Cruz feels like the guy that always gets stuck with the most difficult jams. And, well, Fernando Cruz delivered. Runners on second, third. He struck out the first batter, Edmundo Sosa, and then a long fly out by pinch hitter Brandon Marsh got the Reds out of the seventh with a 1-run lead. Sac fly by Santiago Espinal gave the Reds an insurance run in the seventh. Ellie De La Cruz singled, stole second base, stole third base. He's now up to 15 stolen bases on the season. And then a sac fly. That's just ridiculous. And a sac fly by Spencer Steer gave the Reds some more insurance in the eighth. Brent Suter, Alexis Diaz delivered. Reds get it done. Reds win. Reds take the season series against the Philadelphia Phillies with a 7-4 win.
Yeah, and you know what? We got a deep drive of the day. And who else would it be other than Will Benson? He homered. That's his third on the year on a fly ball to center field. Exit velo of 101.7, a launch angle of 32 degrees. If you're a math wizard, a mathematician, or you got a T9 calculator sitting by, you know that went 396 feet. That gave the Reds a deficit of just 1 run. It did increase their win probability by 11%, though. Little do they know that the Reds were going to come back and win to basically make it 100%. But DSC, as always, they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil, collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And thank you to our friends at Deep South Commodities and John, of course. Well, let's get right into it. There's so many things that are unbelievable to talk about tonight. I'm fired up. I really am fired up. You know why I'm fired up? Because it took everybody. It genuinely took everybody outside of Candelario, and I'm not even going to get into that night. You know why? Because I feel like anytime you bring up something negative, you could say 100 positive things about everybody else, and they're going to be like, oh, you were saying something about Candelario. Listen, when I say it took everybody, I genuinely mean that. There was every single person I could point out something that they did relatively well. And you know what I will also say? They survived and advanced or persevered through two ground rule doubles. And I know people might think that, that isn't a big deal. Like, that's a little disheartening, Nick. I mean, there was 2 times where you were expecting to get a run scoring from first base. First, it was CES. That obviously Stevenson had 1 bounce over the wall. And then you had Ellie De La Cruz have 1 bounce over the wall with, I can't remember who was around in third. I think that was a Santiago. But anyways, point is, that's 2 runs that you should have had that you didn't get it. Vincent. So, I'm fired up. Brent Suter, I'm going to be like literally helter-skelter all over here. And I will say this, Santiago Espinal, this one's for you, brother. This one's for you. Sometimes in life, you realize you make mistakes. And I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a life lesson right now. You just say you're sorry. You say you're sorry. You look them right in the face and you say, I made a mistake. I wasn't familiar with your game. Okay? I seen you were an all-star 2 years ago. Yeah. I've seen your OPS plus. I've been looking at your baseball reference page. Okay? I've seen it. You're right around 100. You're right around 100. You've only been over it a couple times, but you know what? I seen it. It was sitting at 49 when you were playing for my favorite team, okay? And 49 isn't very good, if we're being honest. But I do know, I listened to Nick a little bit. Nick didn't help because essentially I blame Nick a little bit because last year he was telling me the same thing about Will Myers, and that didn't pan out for me. But you know what? You're different. I'm going to come back around. Next time Nick tells me to wait, it's just April. I'm going to be patient again. I'm going to come back. And I'm going to settle down, and I'm going to give you a fair chance. Because so far, over the last, 2 nights, if we're being honest, I won't say a week, but 2 nights, you've done a lot of good things. And there's only one way that I know how to show respect. And this one's for you. This one's for you, Santiago. This is for you, your family, your kids, if you have them. I don't know, but I do know this. You've made me proud the last 2 nights. And I'm happy to be wrong, by the way. I'm a Reds fan first. I'd love to be wrong about all the guys that I don't believe in. This is for you, Santiago. You can fill in the rest, Nick. Santiago Espinal, everybody.
Look, it's just good to see him being an average player. Like, I think that's what you expect out of him. That's what you're hoping to get out of him. He's fine, and he's playing great defense too. Yes. That's the one thing. He had a first couple games were rough, but he's been a really good defender. And look, when he's playing in the game, you're hoping to get that upgrade defensively at second base, and he's doing a nice job there. That was a huge at bat. I mean, after that, just man, one of the most. I don't want to be the negative guy for sure, but that at bat by Jeimer Candelario was one of the most disheartening at bats I can remember in a
Horrible
long
at
time.
bat.
Just because Dominguez was all over the place. This wasn't like. I mean,
Martini
it was
too, kind of. Martini too, right? Like that whole inning, he was all over the place. You felt like he shouldn't be getting a lot of outs. He did dot 2 fastball to Martini, but then Martini kind of like just hits a pop. He pops out, and then Jeimer does what he does, and you're right, 100% right. It was deflating, if anything.
Yeah, so that was a big spot, and look, just good to see him contribute. Santiago Espinal, he was an all-star. It was a fake all-star. I can admit that as much as anyone else. But he's fine, and I think that he can provide a nice role for this team. Unless you somehow get Matt McClain and Noelvi Marte back, which the chances of getting them back and then having everyone else healthy is probably as close to zero as you can get. So the Reds need this guy to be a decent player, and I think that's what he's proving at least the last couple of days, that I think he can get to that level. And I hope he's able to keep it up, because there's a lot of guys struggling in this lineup. I mean, Ellie's playing great. Tyler Stevens is playing great. But there's not really that many other guys that are playing great. And it's weird to say on a night you score 7 runs. So you need these other little contributions, and it's good to see Santiago Espinal, and then that kind of, I guess, leads right into the next guy. Really good to see Will Benson have a good night.
Yeah, Will Benson was a guy that's obviously struggling, and this is one of those things where we keep doing this, Nick. We keep talking about, well, it's April 24th, right? And if these guys were to, have a little bit of what you'd call a shuffle in the middle of the season, you might not, I don't want to say you wouldn't notice it, but it wouldn't be as big of a deal if you had a large sample size, right? But Will Benson struggled. He got off to a great start. He's been plummeting, and it is nice to see him. Hopefully he gets back on track, because we need it at some point. Like, we can't keep surviving and advancing off the fact that the starting pitching throws the ball relatively well and the bullpen performs miracles. And the bullpen, I keep going back to it. I know that's on the second half of the rundown. I don't want to get too far into it, but it's like, we need this offense to make sure that at some point they're carrying the load, and they're the reason that this Reds team wins. And it feels like we said that a lot towards the back half of last year. And you kind of couple that into the front half of this year, or at least whatever you want to call this, the first month or two. And I'm going to try to be patient with a lot of these guys. Will Benson has showed me enough, though, where I still believe in Will Benson, regardless of, a 1 for 15 or 1 for 20. Spencer Steer obviously struggling a little bit as well. So, I don't know what you make of Will Benson, but it's nice to see him kind of get back on track.
Well, and Will Benson's also had to be in a role that he's really shouldn't be in. He's had to start against left-handed pitching.
Correct.
And I know you can look at his splits, and I think his splits are actually better against left-handed pitching. But that's I think a fluky start to the season.
Got a big hit tonight off a left-handed pitcher that if we're both being honest, right? Like, it was
a good left-handed pitcher too.
That's fortunate, though.
Scrub.
Pretty fortunate is what I'm saying. Like, you catch a ball off the hands like that, more times than not, it's probably not going to perfectly fall in for a hit. But having said that, you're right. I don't think it's fair to ask it. It's the same thing as Stuart Fairchild, though. I don't know if he's on the rundown either, but Stuart Fairchild, much of the same. Like, I don't think Stuart Fairchild should be facing as many right-handed arms as he has lately, but he has to. There's not many options. I mean, we're going to go to Bubba Thompson. We're not doing that tonight, by the way. Speaking of which, I do need to get on Bubba Thompson, because I think that might fix him. That's what I'm going to start doing. I'm just going to start getting on guys, and then they're going to magically become, all-stars.
Scored a run tonight, baby. No, but that's a good point. Like, Will Benson's playing more than he should right now. He's having to play every day, and I know he kind of hasn't lately, but I think some of that's been sickness. I don't even know who's available on a night-to-night basis right now either. Martini's had to play way more against lefties than you'd ever want him to play. Santiago Espinal, he would not be starting tonight if Jonathan India would have been fully healthy. I guess so. There's just so many. And Stuart Fairchild has played to play a lot more against righties. So there's just a lot of guys that are playing more than they should. And that's the whole point of surviving and advancing until more guys get back. But this one really hurts. It really hurts when you don't have Jake Fraley against the right-handed pitcher. That's the one guy that, man, it's brutal not to have him in the lineup. So I hope that he's able to get over his sickness or whatever's going on right now.
I want to say something that people are going to think I'm crazy for saying, but this hopefully shows that I say things that I see. I'm not picking on guys. I think Santiago Espinal, I know, listen, I understand that India might be healthy enough to feel like he's ready to play. I'm letting Espinal cook until I realize he's out of gas here. I'm being honest. You can laugh all you want. I'm being honest. You can't. No. Listen, Nick. No, listen. If you're gonna convince me that you got to give it, just listen. It's all the water's gonna find its level. He's gonna come back to earth. Then okay. The water's rushing in. It's starting to get a level. I'm not cutting it off. I got to let him play a little bit here now. Listen, I'm not saying he gets like a week's worth of time, but he's not going to get 4 hits, then 3 hits, and then he sits the bench. We're not doing that. He's staying in the lineup. I mean, I know you think I'm crazy. I was saying I don't know. I will say Livan Soto, though. I don't know if you've seen, but he got 4 hits. He was 4 for 4 his first night in Triple-A. I hope you have that on Reds MILB, but I'm just saying, but point is, I am not sitting Espinal until he shows me that he's out of gas, okay? Which might be one game, but just saying.
Yeah, run him out there against Zach Wheeler tomorrow.
I don't care. He's hot, man. Listen, this is what's that kid from Oakland that couldn't miss against Kentucky? Jack something? That's who he is right now.
Unbelievable. What a couple days, man. What a couple days. Is
crazy, Chad? I'm just saying.
Babysitting the kids upstairs?
Is what?
Is Fergie babysitting the kids upstairs?
Oh, Espinal's kids are right upstairs. I took him in to watch for tonight for free. Every time he gets a hit, it's another day for free childcare. Listen, I'm just saying you can't take this guy out of the lineup right now. You can't. I'm not crazy, Nick. I'm not crazy, man. What are you gonna take him out? He's got like 7 hits in the last 2 days. That's almost as many as he had the first month and a half.
I would be fine if they sat him tomorrow. I mean, if India's good, that's a tough right-handed pitcher.
I don't care. India's coming back from. I don't know, man. We'll see. I'll support David Bell no matter what. You know why? Because David Bell's doing a hell of a job. I don't know if we want to get into that. I mean, just saying. You want to talk about Nick Lodolo? Let's do that first.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say. I mean, like, he struggled with his command tonight. He battled through it. Good to see him get into the 6th inning when it was a real struggle for him tonight. It just didn't. I don't think he had the feel for all of his pitches. But Nick Lodolo, it's just like you watch him on a night like tonight, and you're just like, man, this guy. It almost is more impressive than when he has his great stuff. That he's still able to like give you a chance to win on a night like tonight. I'm very impressed with Nick Lodolo overall. I've been impressed. It's just health. It's just every single time he starts, it's like I feel like I just say the same thing. Please stay healthy. Like I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the fact that the Reds won, they found a way to win a baseball game, and Lodolo, I don't want to say he was, for lack of a better term, it wasn't prime Lodolo, but at the same time, it's just it's almost like I used the phrase 1 of 162 earlier. That's kind of what I would say it is for Lodolo. Like this isn't nothing to get overly concerned about. I also wouldn't make a big deal about the fact that he didn't throw the ball unbelievable either. So, I mean, I don't have a lot to add on the Lodolo other than I'm excited. I am excited for this. That I do think when he has his B+ A stuff, he legitimately is a top arm in Major League Baseball. So I love that. His ceiling is he the best pitcher on the team?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any question about it right now.
Yeah,
I mean, I still think Hunter Green has a higher like overall ceiling, but this year I don't think Hunter Green has any chance of being a better pitcher than Nick Lodolo.
All right, let's jump into it. We have game time as always. I'm going to do some super chats here really, really quickly. Mark Fetters, Fernando Cruz, super chatting. Fernando Cruz. We're going to talk about him in just a second. You can see it on the rundown bullpen. Cody Brown said, might as well make it 3 straight L's for the Phils tomorrow. Then get out of here to Texas, where I am now, and put the I'm struggling here. Texas, where I am now, and put the brooms to the defending champs again. We may never lose again. So let's go Reds. Cody, sorry I butchered that super right there. I need some commas, though, Cody. If you could help me out with some commas, that'd help me out. But having said that, I'll tell you right now, if they win tomorrow and then they go and they sweep, I'll have them as World Series champs. Matt Wells says, if that was a bad Lodolo start, it's going to be just fine. Yeah, it's not a bad start. I'm not trying to say. It's just like, what do you call it? An average start? What do you want to call it, Nick? What's the right term to use there?
I mean, pretty average. I mean,
yeah,
5 innings, 3 earned runs. I mean, and one of them was an inherited run that scored at.
I would a C. I think it's a C if we're going on a grading scale, like C plus maybe. I mean, it passes. You get I tell you right now, it'll pass you through college. You can get a degree with the start that Lodolo had tonight. I'll give you that. Now, if it was Hunter Green, half the chat would have him failing. Just saying. For being honest.
Even C because he walked 3 guys. No plus for me.
Even C. All right, Game Time. For those that don't know, you can go to the Game Time app. You can download it. If you're looking for tickets, they have all types of tickets. All types of tickets. In fact, tonight, I was even looking at FC Cincinnati tickets. Never been down to TQL Stadium, Nick? Thinking about going. They play Saturday. Reds are on the road. Might go down there. We'll see. But what you can do is you can get on the Game Time app. You can use the code CINCY, CINCY. You get $20 off your first purchase. 2 clicks, you can check out. You can have all-in pricing. They have lightning deals. You should give it a shot. You should give it a shot. If you don't have a ticketing service app on your phone, or you do have a ticketing service app on your phone, no problem. It takes 15 seconds. You can download the app. And then, honestly, you think I'm joking? It takes 10 seconds to put the code in to get it. And I think it expires in maybe 60 days, somewhere in there. You got to use it within 60 days. But nonetheless, code CINCY, CINCY, get $20 off your first purchase. All right, let's get back into it. You got something to add?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, tomorrow, 63 degrees in Cincinnati. What a great day to go down to the ballpark, use the Game Time app. And as you were talking about, if you're more of the 82-degree kind of folk, FC Cincinnati, it's 82 degrees the high on Saturday. So perfect time to use the Game Time app. Go out and watch your favorite sporting event.
All right, so Jordan Earhart brings up a good point. He says, so we should be shooting for better than 13 and 17 then? Jordan, I'm not changing what I said. Okay, I'm not changing what I said. Listen, I'm being honest. If the Reds go 13 and 17 over the stretch of baseball, I will live with that. That means we somewhat survived in advance. We can recover from that. I just couldn't have a huge slide where for all intents and purposes, you go, heaven forbid, you go 10 and 20, something like that. I genuinely mean that. People think that's not a bit. Like, do I want to win more than 13 games? Yes. I even put out there on the, I had one bookmark. It was Reed. I guarantee it was Reed. Bookmarked it. I put out a post, Nick, that said if the Reds go better than 500 in the next 30 games, then the Reds are going to make the postseason. And I truly feel that way. If they can advance this schedule that they have right now, with the lineup and the predicament that they're in right now, I feel great about this ball club. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, just every win until Memorial Day is like something you cherish. I mean, you pick any way you can get them. It doesn't matter how pretty, how ugly they are. Every win is great. Yeah, I mean, I have no high expectations for this next month. I mean, this is really the survive in advance time of the year, and a great series. Splitting 2 out of 4 with Philly. Look, the Reds can win tomorrow.
Yeah, we're playing with house money, baby.
Yeah, and Phillies, hopefully it's in their head. They give Zach Wheeler the kind of run support that the Reds give Hunter Green. So let's hope that keeps up.
This is like Nick Kirby being out at like 2:45 a.m. in Vegas with an extra $50 on his pocket. He's walking around a little different. He's feeling pretty good about himself. He might throw a little extra cash on the table, a little blackjack. Said he wasn't ever. He said, I don't think I'm going to play. Next thing you know, he's feeling himself an hour and a half into the night, up $50. Just saying. That's what the Reds will be walking around if they're over 500 in the next 30 days. All right, let's get it into the bullpen, man. I tell you what, this is Tyler Stephenson's not on the rundown, and it's not that it's a mistake. I'm not saying it's a mistake, but I want to say this before I get into the bullpen. For someone that criticizes him and his defense, and I do, and I have, and I felt like it was rightful, and I thought it was just. I will also give credit where credit is due. Tyler Stephenson, I don't know if it's just the fact that he's able to read that splitter incredibly well with Fernando Cruz or whatever it is, but he has made time and time again humongous blocks for Fernando Cruz. And I mean massive blocks. Blocks that if he didn't make them, that Fernando Cruz, in my eyes, would be viewed differently by the public, by the fans, because he would give up runs or he would have pass balls that give up runs. And I know that might be an overreaction. Some people be like, oh, you're crazy. I genuinely believe that. I think that the 2 times that I can remember that Tyler Stephenson has made an incredible block, it has been with a guy at third base and a guy at second base. And it's been in a tight baseball game, and Fernando Cruz has spiked that split finger. And he in 2 times now, he has made unbelievable blocks, made sure that the guy stayed put, allowed Fernando Cruz to, one, continue to throw that pitch with confidence, which we all know he needs to throw to be successful. And I can't overstate it enough that he has been incredible back there. And you know what? He's a huge X factor. As much as I talked about TJ Friedl being a huge X factor, if Tyler Stephenson can be even halfway decent behind the plate, average or slightly below average defensively, and he keeps putting barrels on baseball. I know he's not on the rundown, Nick, but if I had any flowers left to give, I'd give them all left, whatever I do have left, to Tyler Stephenson, genuinely, before we get to the bullpen.
Yeah, he hit 2 balls 104 miles per hour today. It's funny. Some nights we're like, man, we got to get 5 topics on this rundown.
Right. What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? And then there's nights like tonight, it's like, what do we take out? It's just how baseball works. But no, he's playing incredible. He's playing with a lot of confidence. I think that what you were talking about with Cruz, I think some of that is the preparation, being ready, anticipating that those pitches could go in the dirt on his splitter, not just, reacting to whatever happens. He's going out there with the mindset, hey, I know I've got to block these pitches. I know it's coming. He's just been unbelievable to start this year. And, man, it's really great to see. And look, I don't know. I don't know if it had anything to do with that. I kind of said going into the offseason, I hope that Tyler Stephenson having a full offseason would really do him well. Coming into last year, he was coming off that brutal shoulder surgery. He was just recovering all offseason. He wasn't really preparing for the season. And it certainly looks like to me like he put in the work this offseason. This looks like a guy that has been working his tail off to get better, and he's getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, and listen, Tyler Stephenson, I know that if nothing else, he cares. And I guess the more and more perhaps you watch Major League Baseball, you can kind of get an idea of guys that, and I'm not trying to kill Rendon, but it's like guys that serve maybe certainly look at the game differently than they used to. Tyler Stephenson, you could tell last year was pressing, even when he was struggling. And it just kind of snowballed on him, and unfortunately he didn't have a great season. This year, he's gotten off to an unbelievable start, and I guess what I'm saying is I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to have him.
Someone pointed out we forgot about his fake out. How about his?
Yeah, what about that? That was big time.
Out Trey Turner.
That was big time, but Trey Turner, what's he doing? I'm not trying to take anything away from Tyler Stephenson, but come on, man, like that's not. It wasn't. I love Tyler Stephenson. I just gave him his flowers, but Trey Turner, what is it? I love him. Trey Turner's an idiot. I hate to say that.
Can you believe that ended like his record streak of like 49? I think it was 49 straight stolen bases. Like,
that happened.
Yeah, he hadn't been caught like 49 times in a row.
That's how you get caught.
It was the most since Ichiro. I think I don't have the stat right in front of me, but yeah, that was wild. I guess the Reds are the only team that can run that play successfully.
Brutal. Hey, listen, I'm all for it. But I did think that the Phillies, if you're a Philly fan tonight, you're pretty upset because I feel like that. I mean, listen, let's be honest. If this was the opposite way and the Reds lost 7-4 in the exact fashion the Phillies lost, you walk guys, you can't make plays, you're getting picked off on the base pass. You got Castellanos out here, which with all due respect, with Castellanos, I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy territory. We're entering crazy territory for Castellanos. So, just saying.
Yeah, you think it's bad for Candelario
right
now? But yeah, I know. And Thompson, man, I feel like every game we've watched, I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like, he had that spot where he had a Christian Pache up at the plate, which is a guy that's only a platoon player. Like, he has the most drastic splits. He is a atrocious hitter against right-handed pitching, and he didn't pitch it for him. I think there was runners on the corners maybe when Lucas Sims came up. Yeah. Sims got Pache out, but then Rojas hit a pitch out of the strike zone, got the run anyway, so he kind of got bailed out. But he ended up pinch hitting the next time with Brandon Marsh, who's a much, much better hitter against right-handed pitching. And like, I'm just like, they could have maybe blown the game open right there. So he's definitely left a lot to be desired.
All right, really quickly before I give this bullpen as many flowers as possible. If you could like the stream, that would be amazing. We have a significant amount of people in here. We love you. We have a little theory around here that we've been keeping track of for years on end, and it's been scientifically proven to give the Reds a good chance to win baseball games, and that's just hitting that like button. It's a little thumbs up button. Hit the like button. It helps us out, yes, but more importantly, it helps the Reds win. So please continue to do that. Just stream of consciousness thoughts here, Nick. I can't go through this game and talk about the bullpens specifically. Obviously, I already talked about Cruz a little bit. Brent Suter. I don't want to jinx this guy, but it wasn't just the fact that he got guys out tonight, Nick. Like he looked like he dominated these dudes. Like they looked lost out there for all intents and purposes. That one poor guy was hitting like a $105. I don't know his name off the top of my head. The catcher. Anyways, Stubbs out here, he's screaming and yelling about basically him not coming set when there's no runners on. So maybe arguing that he's quick pitching him, whatever language you want to use, I don't care. Theoretically, it's illegal to quick pitch, but point being is that just get in the box, get ready to hit. You don't have to worry about it. But the fact is that he had them off. He had them all off balance. And also, lastly, give David Bell some credit. You know, he matched up. He knew what was coming up for the Phillies lineup, and Suter. I mean, he mowed them down. Has there been a better offseason signing by the Reds than Brent Suter? I mean, is there?
I mean, definitely not bang for your buck. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, Frankie Montas might give a run.
I don't know, man.
Money. We'll see. Just like, how about this from Suter? So, his last time out before today was when he came in and he threw 3 1/3 innings when he had to bail out Frankie Montas after he took that comebacker. Threw 3 1/3 scoreless innings to help the Reds win on Sunday. And then a couple days later, he's pitching the 8th inning, getting a hold. And maybe it has to be a 2-run lead for a hold.
Whatever. Yeah, you can say it.
He pitches. He's the setup man.
Right.
Like his versatility is just I don't know if I've seen a reliever kind of like the role that he has. It's really unique what he's kind of carved out, and David Bell's got to love this guy. He's got to be like, man, I can throw this guy wherever I want. He's getting the job done.
Yeah,
this is incredible.
Dude's got grit. I mean, my thing with him is that my favorite thing about him, quite honestly, is just the way he goes about his business too. If he looks like he's not a pitcher that has many superstitions. He doesn't need to go back and grab the rosin bag after every pitch or something. It is like this guy just catches the baseball, steps on the rubber, looks in, does a little waggle with his glove. Boom, he's firing the ball in. It's like you don't need a pitch clock with him. Like they didn't invent it because of Brent Suter. I can tell you that. So shout out to Brent. Not scared of anybody so far. And but to be very clear, I want to make sure that everyone understands what I said before I get taken out of context. I said there's not been a better offseason signing so far than him. I'm not saying he's going to be their best offseason signing, okay? I'm not out on Candy. I am not out on Candy, so that's a good transition to that maybe now, unless you want to talk about Fernando, but we've talked about him a billion times. Also, lastly, before we shout out to Diaz. Seriously, Nick. Shout out to Diaz.
He's making it look easy. Who would have ever thought?
Gotta knock on some wood for that, man. I never thought in a million years it would look this easy with Diaz. I mean, even last year when he was nails for the first half for 3/4 of the season, he still was making it. I mean, it still was like musical chairs at times out there. It was like duck, duck, goose, where it's just like there was always motion on the bases at some point. It wasn't 1, 2, 3.
Well, even like during that 12-game win streak, like all of his saves, there was like 2 runners on, or the bases were loaded, and somebody just kept getting a ground ball double play, and yeah, it was wild. So good to see him. He's pitching really, really well, and I thought he was a big regression candidate, and so far that's looked pretty silly so far.
That it has. All right, let's jump into Candelario. He had a tough game tonight. Yes, I think if it was a losing edition of Chatterbox Reds, he would be taking a pretty good lick, if we're being honest. He booted a double play ball. Would I say it's routine? It's routine for the big leagues. And I'm not saying that, guys aren't going to mistakes, but in a close game where you need to make all the plays to win close games more times than not, tonight he really didn't make that many winning plays. Now, he did get on base. He forced a walk. So I'm not saying that he had the world's worst game per se, but I still believe in Candy, man. I think it's one of those situations where the most beautiful thing about all this, Nick, is you look at this up and down this Reds lineup and you look at their OPS. It's nothing to write home about. It's not pretty. And the fact that they are in a position where they have a winning record based off of what they've done so far at the plate is very, very promising. And I am hopeful that Candelario at some point, whether it's next week, maybe it's next month, or maybe it's down the stretch, there's going to be a point in the season, Nick, where he does a Spencer Steer impression earlier this year, where he gets hot and he quote unquote carries this club. I do think that's going to happen. I don't know when it'll be, but you know what? Candelario, no one's going to remember his struggles in April if this team's coming down the stretch in a pennant race and he's playing like Spencer Steer played the first 3 weeks of the season, which is very possible. So I'm not going to overreact about Candelario. He's played good defensively pretty much all year long. Yes, he didn't make the play tonight, but to each their own. And the fact that the Reds won, that helps his case.
Yeah, I think his defense has actually been pretty impressive, minus that one play. I think overall he's played really good defense. I feel like he's put in a lot of work to be a solid defensive third baseman. I am a little concerned about his, 3 years from now. I mean, if I'm being honest, it's not a ton of money, so I don't think it's necessarily going to drag the franchise down or anything. I think this year he'll be fine. I think he'll get his numbers up, but there's not a whole lot of positives. It's not like what Tyler Stevens said earlier in the year where he was hitting the cover off the ball and just, stuff wasn't falling. It's not even necessarily like Santiago Espinal where it's a guy that you expect he's a guy that puts the ball in play a ton and he's just going to, his BABIP's going to go up. So I do think there might be a little bit of concern with him. I don't think this year I'm necessarily hitting the panic button by any means. It all goes back to if Noelvi Marte was on the field and Matt McLean was healthy, it'd be whatever. It wouldn't even be a big deal at all. But now you're having to really there's so many guys that have to be put into spots that are above what you should have expect out of them. Just thank God that Ellie De La Cruz, who had 3 hits today.
Unbelievable.
Did he have 3 hits? He doesn't even make the rundown anymore. He's got a 313 average, OPS of 1,063. He doesn't even get on the rundown anymore.
Yeah.
It's great that he's just playing out of his mind because the Reds have needed every single piece of that.
I tell you what, Ellie De La Cruz, man. I know he's going to struggle at some point again, right? And I think at that point, we all need to collectively champion the fact that we, at this point, understand the impact that this kid can make. It's not just a fluke. I do think the early season, and not struggles is the wrong term to use, but maybe he didn't get off to the start that we all would have hoped him to get off to. I do think that there are some people that could have a rational brain. I'm not talking about the negative fan, that's always negative no matter what. But I think that there could be some rational fan out there that would be like, you know what? I just don't know if Ellie's consistently going to be able to be there enough to where you're like, I can believe in him, blah, blah, blah. I hope, if nothing else, that's been put to bed. The guy's so damn fast that he can produce runs just by like getting on like a walk, dude. I mean, he scored that run, and I'm not trying to cut down the rest of the team and act like they don't bring as much to the table, but they just don't. Like Ellie legitimately got that insurance run on his own. Was it Espinal who drove him in? Who flew out? Who was the sacrifice flyby? Steer. Okay. And I know Espinal got a big sacrifice fly as well earlier in the game. So he's been playing much better defense. I tell you what, man, I'm starting to get excited again. Put it that way. Like I really am, because I think that we're starting to see what the basement of what this team looks like. Genuinely. Like, does anybody in the chat, do any of us actually think that the Reds have played their best baseball, what they're capable of playing? The answer is no. Like, they just haven't. And the truth is they still continue to find ways to win games. And I can tell you, last year at this time, we were watching a bad baseball team lose games night in and night out. And that's a fact. And we're just not there anymore. And you know what? Like, for all the OGs that were in this chat last year, we all know that the plan, if we're being completely honest, and I know people don't want us to move the goalposts, but the plan is that the kids that we're watching right now play that are making huge impacts, this was supposed to be, honestly, their first season, Nick, that they were going to start to try to figure it out in the big leagues. Well, they came up last year and obviously started to figure it out. This year, they're making an impact. So I still am incredibly, incredibly excited about the future of this team. And I am very hopeful that we can stay healthy. Get Noelve back, get Matt McLain back. And I know McLain's a long way away. But TJ Friedl back. And you want to talk about cooking with gas. But Candelario is going to be back at some point, Nick. I really do believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, a year ago, Reds just finished up a 6-game losing streak. Just got swept in 4 games to the old Pittsburgh Pirates. So right. It's been quite a difference a year makes, and I agree. I mean, I do think that the bullpen has performed as well as you could ever dream early in the year. So we need to acknowledge that. That's probably going to level out a little bit.
Right.
I think the starting pitching probably about
average.
I mean, kind of what you'd expect.
I 100% agree with that.
I think there's been some guys that have pitched really, really well that aren't
right.
going to pitch as well, but there's been other guys like I think Hunter Green's going to pitch a lot better. I think Montas is even going to pitch a little bit better than his last couple times out. But the lineup, yeah, I mean, there's so much more upside there that hasn't even really even scratched the surface.
Right. I mean, Casey in the chat says CES is about to go on a tear. Write it down. I mean, it's very possible.
Yeah.
Like when Steer cools off, Ellie De La Cruz gets hot. When Ellie De La Cruz cools off, hopefully we can get Candelario getting hot. The thing that's different right now that's happening than what happened the last time this team or this franchise had a what we would call a consistent winner was when in 2012, that time frame. And that offense, if we're being completely honest, seemed like it could be feast or famine a lot of the time. Like there was a lot of streaky players on that team. They could be the world's best offense in 1 month baseball wise. Jay Bruce would lead that charge. And then the next month they wouldn't be as good, or they'd be one of the bottom teams in Major League Baseball. And again, I don't have stats to back me up on that. That's just my memory, which is at this point 12 years ago. Wow. That's really sad. Unbelievable. I just found that out in real time. Did math. I didn't like it. Anyways, point is that, this team's got a good enough offense at some point. They're going to get some more guys clicking. I really do believe that. Last question I have for you before we get into Reds MILB, Nick, is what do you do with Martini? And I'm not trying to kick him off the team, right? Like, I don't want to sound like I'm overreacting, but if Mike Ford, what do you do? That's all I'm saying. Like, what do you think that's even a thought right now in the front office?
No, I have to do a little bit more of a dive on Martini. He's had a lot of at-bats against left-handed pitchers, and he never should get an at-bat against a left-handed pitcher. And I'm not really blaming David Bell because he just hasn't had any options. But but like his numbers against lefties coming into the season were atrocious. They were worse than they were terrible. So I think he gets a little bit more of a longer leash, but Mike Ford's played well. So, Martini is the one guy on this roster that is the most replaceable in a cutthroat business because he has options. You're not going to lose him. You can send him down AAA without hurting anything. And he doesn't provide you any defensive value. So, I think his leash is maybe tightening a little bit, but I don't think I'm fully hitting the panic button and just making a move to make a move right now. But it's number one, I don't think you have to make a move right now. If the Reds have lost 4 or 5 in a row, maybe it's a little bit of a different conversation.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
I don't know. Do you feel different?
I don't know if I feel different. Your mic and thing somehow in the middle of the show it got unsynced. I don't know how that happened, but just so you know, I'm giving you a heads up. But to finish out the point of whether I believe in that, I don't know. I mean, I see it both ways. I do think at some point you got to ask yourself, like, do you believe that what you thought on the front end is actually true, and if so, then you stick with it. Not to round out the show and say Santiago Espinal is probably a pretty good example of that, but I think that's a relatively decent example of that. So, I think now we're at a point where we do some Reds MILB. We get to the super chats here towards the end, and I just want to remind everybody, if you're new in here, we love you, we appreciate you. Like the stream if you can. That would be a big help to us. And tell somebody about it. Can I say something before you do Reds MILB?
Yeah.
Now I do know you probably would have cut this out of the podcast, so my apologies. But here's the thing: this is a State of the Union right now for us in the chat. All right, I'm speaking with you. I'm not speaking to you. We're speaking as a collective group. Okay, we're all Reds fans. All right. If you were right about something, by all means, you can be proud that you were right about something. But if we criticize players, it's just because we're criticizing them because we think they could do better or we like that. Like, it's okay to fan. It's okay to fan in there. And you know what? I would also say you don't always have to like get on people that are optimistic about this club if you don't feel the same. It's okay. We're one big family here. You don't have to keep telling people like, oh, you didn't like Benson before, you don't like him now. You keep the same energy about Ellie. Let's take like forgiveness. You know, like it's all gonna be all right. We don't have to come in here. We should all be excited and happy. We should be excited and happy. We don't have to yell at each other in here. What are we talking about? What are we doing in here? What are we doing in this chat sometimes, guys? Let's just have fun. We're gonna die at some point. We don't need to take everything so serious. This is a baseball game. We all hope the Reds win. You know, you're allowed to agree to disagree from time to time. Let's just have fun. Quit arguing about stupid stuff, man. All right? Yeah, I was wrong about Espinal. Hand up. Hand up. And if he goes 0 for 14 the next week and a half, I'm not going to come in here and be like, see, I was right. You were wrong. I'm not going to do that. So if Candelario sucks for the rest of the year, I'm sorry. I think he's going to be back. I do think he's going to be back. All right, that's it. But please like the stream. Anyway, some Reds MILB, Nick.
14-10. 14-10 currently hold a playoff spot.
Currently hold a playoff spot. Now, that is a funny line to say on April 24th, but you do you, Nick.
Anytime I can say that, Trace, I'm going to say that.
All right, that's fair. I'm not going to downplay that. I'm not going to.
There's not been enough days in my lifetime that we could say that. So you know what?
Yep, you're right.
Celebrate every day that's
you're right.
That's a thing.
That reminds me of like, I know you're going to do this real fast. That's fine. I'm going to say something for 2 seconds. That reminds me of like when North Texas is beating Alabama in football in like the first 5 minutes of the game and they kick a field goal and everybody pulls their phone out and they're taking pictures. There's nothing wrong with that. So you keep saying it, Nick.
Celebrate it. Hey, every once in a while, a 16 seed breaks through. All right. Triple-A, Louisville. Hey, they won 2-1 over Nashville. They've won 2 in a row. They improved to 11-12 on the season. Really encouraging start from Lyon Richardson. A lot of the starting pitchers at Louisville have really struggled. Had his best outing by far of the year. 5 1/3, just gave up 1 hit, 1 run, struck out 8, only walked 2. So really good start from Lyon Richardson against a pretty good Nashville team. That's the Brewers Triple-A affiliate. Ian Jabot back on a rehab assignment, and he pitched his best outing by far. Threw a perfect inning, struck out 2. Velocity was a lot closer to normal for him, so that's really great to see. Tony Santillan just kept getting it done. He threw another score this inning as well. Reese Hines 1 for 4 with a double. Mike Ford 0 for 3. Blake Dunn, who was back yesterday, was not in the lineup on Wednesday, but I'm assuming that was just they're easing him back in. Double-A, Chattanooga, they lost 6-1 to Birmingham. Pretty good start, though, from Sam Ben Schuster. He was the guy the Reds had on the Arizona Fall League roster a couple years ago. So he's the guy that I think has some upside. Really great. Didn't walk anyone, struck out 8 over 5 innings. So good for him. And then Matt Nelson, 2 for 4, the catcher. Austin Hendrick, 1 for 4 with a stolen base. Down to High A, Dayton. They lost 11-4 to Lansing. The Dragons only got 3 hits in this one. No extra base hits. They fall to 7-10 on the season. Not a whole lot. South Stewart 1 for 3 with the walk. He was, I guess, the lone bright spot on base twice. Cam Collier 0 for 3 with an RBI. And then the Daytona Tortugas, I don't know, Trace, if you saw this. They won 5-4 over St. Lucie. They scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th to walk off St. Lucie 5-4. Tortugas 9-8, the only team above 500 in the Red system. But Ricardo Cabrera, there was 2 runners on base. He doubled. They threw out the second guy at the plate, but when they did that, he fell over, and so Ricardo Cabrera took off for third, and they tried to throw him out at third, and the ball went past him, and then they walked it off. So it was kind of a wild ending. You don't see anything like that. But Alfredo Duno, 2 for 3, hit his second home run, also walks. A really good day from him. So great to see Alfredo Duno. He's really starting to come on after a little bit of a slow start, but adjusting to the highest level he's played professionally so far.
For those that didn't get a chance to see it, this is what Nick was talking about. This is why sometimes, I'm not going to pat myself on the back publicly like this, but I'm just saying this is why sometimes, I got to be honest. We're elite company. So this is the play that he's talking about. It looks like it's on a cell phone camera, if we're being honest, but here it goes.
Here comes a potential winning run. The throw to the plate is in time. Valdez is out. And heading for third is Cabrera. And the throw gets away. Here comes Cabrera. He's going to circle the bases. A Little League home run wins it. I don't believe it. A Little League home run by Ricardo Cabrera, who's being mobbed to the backstop.
Hey, what's this guy got against Little League? I know this. The Little League Pirates, we did it last week. I was getting ready to do a full-fledged bit and say we've never done that. We did it last week. We did it last week, so I can't do it. But shout out to that guy making that call, by the way. That was a big league call.
That's Brandon Mintz, friend of the program, came on the podcast during the All-Star break last year. Yeah.
Love that. I was about to go full bit right there and just be like, what's he got against Little League? I've never seen a play like that in Little League. And when I tell you that happened literally last week, 2 runs scored. Trace was over there just scratching his head. Teaching moments in life, But, all right, wrapping up the show. You guys know what time that means. We have 2 things to get to before we have the pillow and the dunk. That is, Nick, before you get to it. Oh, I don't like the face. Let's just do this. Who, what, when, where, and why. That'll buy you a little bit of time with the graphic up there. If you stop talking, I know what you're doing. I'll start talking.
All right, Reds going for a series win against the Philadelphia Phillies. They've already won the season series, but you know what? Why not just go ahead and really rub it in? Zach Wheeler will be on the mound. He's been a guy, he's gotten no run support all year, 2.30 ERA, but just 1-3. Last start out, he was brilliant, 7 1/3, 1 hit, no runs, 8 strikeouts, was against the White Sox. Faced the Reds earlier in the year, gave up 3 runs, but only 1 of them were earned over 6 innings, struck out 10, only walked 1. Career 2.98 ERA against the Reds in 7 starts, career 1.42 ERA in 3 starts at GABP. Candelario, though, he's 3 for 8 with 2 doubles, so maybe he's got something Ellie's 1 for 3 with a double. Benson 1 for 4. And then it'll be Nick Martinez for the Reds. It was supposed to be Ashcraft, but I guess when they moved Martinez into the rotation, they decided to bump Ashcraft back to Friday. Martinez obviously has an ERA of 7.20 as a starter, 1.29 as a reliever. He's been great as a reliever, struggled in just 2 starts as a starter. Did not face the Phillies when the Reds played them earlier in the year. He's never actually made a start against the Phillies, but he's only allowed 1 run in 10 and a third innings in his career against the Phillies as a reliever, 13 strikeouts and just 2 walks. The active Phillies, they're 5 for 51 against him. That's a 118 average and 363 OPS. Schwarber's the only one that's really done damage, 2 for 6 with a homer. Castellanos, 2 for 12, 6 strikeouts. Trey Turner, 1 for 7, and then Alec Boehm's 0 for 6. Realmuto's 0 for 5, and Brandon Marsh is 0 for 4.
Love that. I do love that. My favorite thing is that it's going to be on Bally Sports Ohio, which means one thing. It means that we all get to live, we all get to watch, and we all get to, most importantly, listen to Barry Larkin do color. Because as we all know, there is nobody better at color in the entire game than Barry Larkin. Shout out to him. I did not know that he could be he could do something better than his Hall of Fame shortstop career for the Cincinnati Reds. So I said I was going to be nice tonight. I'm being nice. All right, Nick. Summer saying it's your time to shine. I'll clear the graphics for you. Don't worry about that. Ooh, that's a pro.
Still can't believe that's a thing. How did that happen?
Well, I'll tell you how it happened. It happened in what we would call Boston. Fenway Park brought that out.
This show, man.
This show's crazy. I don't know how we get to half the things we get to, but I do know one thing. We got some more super chats before we leave. I ain't missing them. Mark Fetters said tonight is a lot of fun. Tell you, Mark Fetters, don't be confused by Mark Twain. You know what I'm saying? I know it can be confusing between Mark Twain and Mark Fetters tonight, but don't be confused. That is Mark Fetters. Tonight is a lot of fun. That it is. That's what makes this show awesome. It's because we go through the highs and lows together. After every single game, we're right here. At least we try to be. Until that is outside of Sundays. We do that on Sunday night for those that are keeping track at home. One last chance for me to plug likes. We're at 267 right now, folks. We have 422 in here. Can we get to 300? Can we get to 300? I mean, I feel like we can, to be honest. I feel like we have that in us. Michael Roth said, I just joined. ATOBTTR, exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. That means, for those that are keeping track at home, and this one belongs to the Reds. Espinal is Roberto Alomar. Ellie is better than Hank Aaron. CES walked twice. He's better than Votto. Learn to keep the bat on his shoulders. It's a miracle. He ran out of letters, or he would have said, anything is possible. Michael, we appreciate you as always. And I appreciate the chat, too. You guys are the best, man. Absolute best. You keep this show rolling. You keep us motivated. We enjoy doing this show. And honestly, the vast majority of the reason why is because of all of you. And that's not just me trying to say that. That is an absolute fact, man. That is an absolute fact. I can tell you right now that this can be a grind at times because you got to be here. You got to be here. Got to make sure that you're ready. You got to make sure you watch the game. And you know what? No. My wife's asking if I'm drunk. First of all, if I was drunk, I would have never seen your little hand waving behind me earlier, by the way. I seen that clear as day. They think they're getting one over on me? No. This big brain sometimes, it sees everything, just so we all know. But please like the stream. Please like the stream. And I'm going to go dunk a basketball. Because that's what time it is. And this time, I'm going to try to do it in one take. But I got to be honest, Nick. There's something that needs to be said. I'm trying to figure out a way to keep these things entertaining, you know? Last year, I didn't have to have 14 dunks until May. Now we got 14. I don't know if you keep track, but it's April 24th. Go Reds. Love all of you. I'm going to do my absolute best. Espinal, I'm proud of you, man. I am proud of you. Not as proud as I am of Tyler Stevenson, though, because he's a dog right now, and I appreciate him, too. All right. I'm going to go dunk a basketball. Wish me luck. It's the first one of the year. That's on me. That's on me. I'll take all the responsibility, all the blame, but I'm still an athlete. I'll see you tomorrow.